it all started when Thaisa told me that she was doing like 10 years as a vegan, 10 years living in US. And then at the same time, I was like, yeah, let's just create a zine. Let's celebrate it with a zine. And then she was like, yeah, sure. And then we started to plan it. And then it turned into a book. And it became so much bigger than we thought it would be. But that's great because we learned a lot. So, and I think that idea came because I started to explore with an Instagram account where I shoot recipe videos, I photograph food, like whatever is on my mind, just like as an experimental space. And I always wanted to do a recipe book, or to work on a recipe book.
Welcome to Latinx in Power, a podcast hosted by Thaisa Fernandes.
Welcome to Latinx in Power. Today we are talking with Izabelle Alvares. Izabelle is a graphic designer and art director with 15 years of experience blending editorial design, branding, and experiential design. She views design as a catalyst for meaningful social change and thrives on projects that celebrate collective intelligence and diverse perspectives. Fun fact, for Izabelle, food is more than sustenance. It's her muse. Whether she's cooking, creating collages, photographing, or filming recipes, videos, food consistently inspires and nourishes not only her body, but also her mind and her soul. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm very excited for our talk.
I'm so excited. In this episode, Izabelle shares insights for her role as a creative director on a new cookbook blending recipes with cultural storytelling. We will discuss her career, inspirations, and the power of design to evoke emotions and connect communities. Isa, is the way I call her, also offers advice for designers, meaning to create socially impactful, story-driven projects. Isa, what does it mean to be a Latina for you?
So that's a very good question because as a Brazilian, you don't actually learn that you are a Latina. And Brazil is such a huge country with so many references of its own that you spend like a lifetime trying to understand what is to be Brazilian. And then when you leave and you go to another country, especially here, especially in California, there is this amazing cultural reference from Latino community because it was Mexican until the last century. So then you start to realize that you are Latino. And then I started to realize that I was a Latina woman, and I've been here for only 3 years. So has been a journey. And yeah, I'm still finding out what is to be a Latina person, a Latina woman.
I love what you said about taking some time to figure out what is to be a Brazilian, and then you move to another country. You're like, okay, I'm also a Latina. What does this mean?
Exactly. And then you start to see how many references we share, like with everything, food and culture and television and music. So you start to connect the dots like, oh yeah, we are all together.
Yeah, that's amazing. And some things we thought, oh, this is super Brazilian. Then you're like, no, this is super Latino.
Exactly. And we have so much, I don't know, I think about all the Latina TV shows that we had access when we were a child. So yeah, these are very special.
Absolutely. And can you give us an overview of your career?
Sure. So I started my career as a theater student. I was acting, and that was my first bachelor. And 1.5 years later, I started to realize that it was not going to happen. It was not going to pay my bills, unfortunately. So I changed it to graphic design. And since the first semester of graphic design, I already started to intern and working. So I've been through the almost all of the graphic design fields. So I worked with a lot of branding, I worked with a lot of editorial design, a lot of exhibition design. So I think all connected, and yeah, and that's, they all brought me different expertises which I can use today in my work. And now I'm slowly shifting to do more art directing with photography and video. So that's very exciting. And that's how we end up with our book. So um, that's very cool. And also, as a graphic designer, I spent a lot of years just freelancing. And then I had the opportunity to work with a lot of small companies from the third sector. So it's like a lot of NGOs, a lot of institutes, a lot of small collectives. So that was very rewarding. Maybe not financially, but for sure, like it was great to work with so many special people with purpose. So I think that's a big part of my career as well, which I'm very
Amazing.
proud of.
Amazing. It's incredible how you were able to navigate those different fields in design and graphic design, and also transition into the creative like director side of it. And it's very interesting. But how was this process for you? It was like linear, it was you figuring out, like getting curious about different areas and like navigating those different areas.
It was more natural. On the beginning, it was more like about the studio that I end up working. So the first studio, it was focused on branding, and they did a lot of packaging, so, and a lot of editorial. So I was on the editorial team, so I had the chance to learn how to make books, how to work with type, and um, how to work with print production, papers, and covers, and etc. So after I went to this place where there was a even bigger focus on editorial design, but there were also a lot of exhibition design. So I had the experience to go to places and learn how to like do print production for big events, for big exhibitions. So that's something that I bring with me as well. And I think the art director part was more like uh, what my interest. So I started to get a little bit tired of graphic design. Like I love it, but has been so many years, and have so many good tools and so many good people doing great graphic design, and I was just wanted to feel challenged and going to our direction towards a more like a photographic perspective really made me like excited again. So yeah, that's where I am right now, just trying to navigate this space.
That's amazing and super inspiring. And people might be wondering, what is this book? Right? What is happening? And I think when this episode is going live, the book is going to be launched. But long story short, Isa and I, we have been working together for the past year to launch a cookbook. The name is Vegan Anniversary in the Bay Area. Isa did all the art direction, the photographies, like everything. I created the recipes and the story that follows the book. And today we are going to be talking more about her creative process and how this journey is being for her. And we love to inspire other people to write their own books and do whatever project they have in mind. So it's been just the two of us for the past year, like being super creative and scrappy and experimental.
Yeah, it's been a journey and a very exciting one. It all started when Thaisa told me that she was doing like 10 years as a vegan, 10 years living in US. And then at the same time, I was like, yeah, let's just create a zine. Let's celebrate it with a zine. And then she was like, yeah, sure. And then we started to plan it. And then it turned into a book. And it took, uh, it became so much bigger than we thought it would be. But that's great because we learned a lot. So, and I think that that idea came because I started to explore with an Instagram account where I shoot recipe videos, I photograph food, like whatever is on my mind, just like as an experimental space. And I really wanted, I always wanted to do a recipe book or to work on a recipe book because I think it's the most fun kind of book that you can work on. And but I didn't thought that this zine would become a book, so I'm very happy that it did. And yeah, so we took references from like punk zines, and that is also like a big part of both of our backgrounds. So yeah, these experiments with food imagery plus the punk zine experience that we lived through our teenager years, plus this awesome reason there's like 10 years being vegan. So like I thought with myself, she probably has a lot to share about about it. So yeah, she did. Spoiler, she did. So yeah, here we are.
And I feel this book it's very unique in a way that we have the Brazilian recipes and American recipes. They happen to be all vegan. There is also the stories behind the recipes. And I wanted to ask you, how was your process and how did you envision bringing these recipes and story to life through your design? And to me, when I saw your process, all your design and everything, I was like, this is amazing because it tied like everything together so beautiful. And the photography is just so creative and unique. And I was just so inspired. You know that because I have been talking and saying that to you for the past year.
Well, I'm not sure how to answer this question because it was a very natural process. I think one of the most important things, I didn't want uh, the book to be a boring recipe book because you are not boring at all. So I really wanted that people could know a little more about you through this book, and I really wanted them to feel what I feel when I go to your house, because you're such a warming person, and you're always giving us food. And it's amazing. I feel amazing. So I wanted people to to know a little more about you. And also, like, I think there's a political aspect that is very important to you, as is important to me. So I wanted to make sure that we would have fun imagery that people would find approachable, and make it easier, the process of cooking and baking, which is so much more complicated than cooking. So yeah, and I also wanted people to see all the details, see the Easter eggs and the little references that we put in each image. So there is a quirkiness in each image. We made sure that we would always put something, a little something, a little weirdness on it, so it wouldn't be like just a recipe book.
Yeah, yeah. And what message or emotions do you hope readers experience through both the content and design of the book?
Yeah, so I think that's it. Like, I think I really wanted people to feel like they were in your place, just having a nice time with you, just like listen to your stories, because they are very personal stories, and that's very special. And having fun cooking. Yeah, I think that's the main emotions I want people to feel. But and I also want people to look at it and say like, wow, this is a beautiful book, of course,
Mhm.
because you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I was thinking about that. I think in the beginning, I was really overthinking because this is what I do. And it's interesting, right? Because I'm not a chef, I'm like a program manager, I work in tech. And it's very interesting when you do something that is so different from your area of expertise. And it's very scary at the same time, but it's also very interesting because you can bring a different perspective. And I think the thing that I want to share with the folks who are listening to us, this actually can be your advantage, and you can have a lot of fun doing something that is so out from your area of expertise, because you can create something very unique and fun, and and learn a ton during this process.
That's true, and there's so much that we took into this project that it's ours. So for example, you as a project manager, there's so much you did from a management perspective. And myself, I also brought a lot of organization skills that um, it's not necessarily a creative skill, but it was really important for us because it was just us. We didn't have anyone else to check whatever. So like we made sure that everything was like running smoothly because of those other skills that don't have anything to do with like being a creative or cooking.
Yeah. And I will argue that you are a designer with PM skills. So it was amazing for me to see how organized you are. Even with the Figma file, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. And the fact that you cook as well, I think it also helps a lot. Understanding like the process and like the food and the process of like sometimes like waiting, and I don't know, like the best time to take this specific picture because the type of food we are like taking photos of. So it was really amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool to think about the photo concepting based on your stories and taking one detail and like, oh, maybe we can use this and turn this little detail into a big thing that would be the whole photo concept. That was really fun. That was really fun.
Mhm. Yeah, I love to talk about personal projects. I understand that it takes a lot, and a lot of times is our free time. So I recognize that, but also I like to share with folks how fun it is and how much you can learn using your free time for personal projects. So I wanted to ask you, did working on this project spark new ideas or directions you want to explore in future design projects?
Absolutely. I learned so much about throughout the process, even like even technically about photography because I am not a photographer. So it was just the do-it-yourself spirit that made me do all the imagery because we couldn't go after a photographer, we couldn't hire a photographer, and we were so excited to do it. And I was like, yeah, let's do. I can do it, and I did, and I learned a lot. And even with the Figma files that you commented before, to have like a sketch of everything like very organized, so we wouldn't just like spend a lot of time on the day, because we spent like 1 year of our weekends basically just cooking and eating. I was eating a lot, and it was great, it was amazing. And photographing. So we would spend the whole day on this project. So there was a lot of compromise and responsibility, and that was great. Like that shows. So I'm really proud of our project.
Me too, me
And
too.
and yes, I'm super excited to keep exploring. I want to do my own recipe zine. I want to see how the zine format will look with different printing techniques. I also got very inspired because I'm always the kind of person who, oh, I can cook, I cook, but it's just like with no recipe and etc. But it's so important to have a recipe, and especially now that I'm going to have a little boy. I'm expecting a little boy, and it's very important to me that he learns how to be like a functional teenager, a functional child, a functional adult. And I think that giving the recipes, it's an important step to say everyone can do it. You just have to follow the steps. And the oh, I do it by eye. I don't measure anything. That gives so much space to like, oh, only you can do it, so it's better when you do it. And that's not exactly what we want for everyone, for anyone. Like, we want
Yeah.
people to be able to cook and to do everything they want to do, they can do.
Absolutely. And I think it makes the experience of cooking a lot more pleasant. I remember my grandma teaching me how to cook some things that I liked. And she was like, oh, you hear the sound that the peanut makes, and this is when you know it's ready. I never was able to hear the sound, and I was frustrated because I was burning to peanuts and I could never do it. And I was like a teenager trying to figure out and I got frustrated. But if I have like the recipe and knew like better about the amount of ingredients, the timing and the temperature would be so much better, my experience.
Exactly. That makes that was like a big inspiration to see everything, like, and to see how hard you worked to create those recipes as well. Like, it's not that some of them were super ready, but they still needed a lot of testing from your end. So it was not just cooking the the final product. It was a lot of testing. So sometimes we would shoot something on the weekend, and she would spend the whole week just doing the same recipe.
And I was forcing
It's
you
part
to
of the process.
try.
I wasn't mad at all.
And remember in the beginning, I was like, Isa, please tell me the truth. What do you think? And Isa, it's not vegan. I'm vegan. And there are some things that I cooked that I never had the non-vegan version. So I had no idea what to compare with my memory. And we know like it's just it's tricky, right? So it was really nice to receive feedback and like ask for like your insights. And a lot of my friends were like testing my neighbors. It was a community work.
Yeah, and I think that's super cool as well, like the feedback part, because we had to exercise our muscles of feeling uncomfortable, because we don't like to be unpleasant or like making people uncomfortable. But you have to. It's part of the process, like, to be really honest, so we could come up with a really good recipe, right? So that I think that connection brought us closer, and that was really like another pro point of the whole process.
I think you're excited to answer my next question already. Uh, what advice would you give to designers who like to work on books or projects that combine storytelling and social impact?
So I would just say to do it, not to have a schedule. That I think that was really important, and that was something that we kept repeating to each other. Like, no, we have to do it until, because when we were working for like 4 months on the project, and then things start to hit and you start to get a little tired, and then it's like, oh, we should skip this weekend. And we were always aware of like, yeah, okay, we can skip this, but we have to do it until this date, and really compromise and really make it work. Because again, there's no one just saying like when you have to deliver, when is the due date. So we had to work on that ourselves, and I think that worked really, really well between the both of us. And I think it also really helps to pull a lot of references. And one thing that I did, that I tried to avoid references that I thought it was like, oh yeah, I think this book is perfect. I wouldn't even look at it because I was afraid that it would influence me too much. So I had like different references, and not looking just one place, not looking just at one thing, just collect references from everywhere, anywhere, all the time, to have like a to train your eye to find those references in different places, and keep your files organized. Really keep your files organized, and you like imagery that you have to retouch, keep them in separate folders. I mean, basic stuff, but when you are working by yourself, this is the kind of thing that you just like, yeah, I can do it later. And then it gets really like, it turns into a massive thing, and it can become a problem. So yeah, just organize yourself, believe yourself, and just do it. May not look perfect, but it is what it is, and it will look better the next time. And that's how you evolve.
Yeah, that's a really good advice. And which resource helped you in your journey that you want to share with us today?
So um I've been loving to live in Substack. I'm loving this comeback of the newsletters, this blog post format, smaller communities. Um, so I've been there a lot, and I collect a lot of references from there. Pinterest, of course, but Pinterest turned into like a place where people drink from the same source a lot. So I try to avoid it a little bit. Um, I also always have Bon Appetit magazines at my place a lot. Like I subscribe them, so I love it. I love their imagery. I think this is a very great reference as well. Yeah, movies, anything, movies, punk scenes, and records and books. Sometimes you're reading like a book and it describes a feast, a dinner, or something, and then you can take some ideas from that. I don't know, just anywhere.
Love it. This is amazing. We are going to link to the description of this episode where you can find the book so you can take a look and maybe buy it. And Isa, this was amazing and so inspiring. I'm going to leave the last minutes for you to share anything you want to share and where people can find you.
Well, so you guys can find me, my portfolio, you can find in isabellealvares.com. And there you can also find this project that I've been working on, that is just like next experimental space with a lot of food imagery, some food recipe videos. It's very mixed. Don't judge me. I love it. It's my safe place there. So yeah, you can find me there. And yeah, I'm trying to not be online too much. So yeah, you can just find me on those two places. And
Amazing.
it was great, Aiza. It was so great. I told you that before, but working with you was so special. I'm really glad we did this together. I'm really glad we have a book to call our own. And yeah, I'm so excited to the launch, to the official launch.
Me too, me too. We are recording some few days before the official launch. I'm trying not to get emotional here, but I'm so grateful for you saying, let's do a zine. And then we were like, yes, let's do this. And then, yeah, it grew. And I love that we are being overachievers all the time and wanting more. And it was so fun. And it's been incredible. And we are going to remember this forever. I love that.
That's true. Thank you.
Thank you.